Welcome back again to Rinka's Kitchen. I have another family favorite recipe that I'd like to share with you, and it's called roasted stuffed Cornish game hen, and it's called Sült Töltött Korni Vad. And you can either use partridge or Cornish game hen for this particular recipe, and all you will need is 1 kilogram Cornish game hens or partridge and 500 grams, this is for the stuffing, 500 grams of ground beef, and I'm using lean ground beef today, 6 celery stalks, 2 cups of mushrooms, and I'm using the canned mushrooms today, but you can use also fresh mushrooms, and they should be cut up into sort of slices. 1 medium onion, 1 small bunch of fresh parsley, 3 cloves of garlic, 6 medium Kaiser buns, and 3 whole eggs, and 3/4 cups of milk, and then all the seasonings and that go with the recipe, and that's 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, 1 tablespoon of vegeta or vegetable base, 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So what I've done is I've put some ground beef into a bowl, and then what I've done is I've sauteed the mushrooms and onions and garlic and parsley. So I'm just going to add that into the ground beef, and I'm going to mix that up. So I would put the parsley in last, so the parsley doesn't burn. You don't need to be sauteing that for very long. Probably for about 2 minutes. So that would just work just great. So I'm just going to mix the ground beef with all of the ingredients, the onions and the garlic and the mushrooms and the parsley. Now this is another family favorite recipe of my grandmother and mother. So, and this is a traditional stuffing recipe of my family. Then I'm just going to go over to the fridge, and I'm going to get some Kaiser buns. And going to add that to the stuffing, and I'm just going to add it little by little, and it's just 6 Kaiser buns, medium buns, torn apart, and I've soaked them in 3/4 cups of whole milk. So I'm just going to gradually add that into the stuffing, and then I'm going to be adding the seasoning to it. And I've already preheated the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's going to be plenty of stuffing left over to put into a loaf pan. And it's just extra stuffing because it's good to have that extra helping of serving of stuffing when you're serving any kind of meat. And then I'm just going to add the more of the Kaiser bun, the soaked Kaiser bun. And this is great. This is really good. You can freeze this actually, the stuffing. And you can add it to other meats if you want. So I'm just making extra for that reason. It's good to have that when you've got other dishes with chicken or turkey. You could actually serve it with turkey also. It's a great stuffing for to be used for turkey. I put a little bit more celery in this one. My other recipe calls for 4 stalks of celery, but for this particular one, because it's a Cornish game hen recipe, then my mother would add more more celery to it. Okay, and then I'm going to add the 3 whole eggs, and I've used brown eggs, to the meat mixture. I'm just going to make that, it just makes it a little bit more moist. And then I'm going to start adding the spices. So I've got Vegeta, or you can use vegetable base of your choice. My mother adds this to her recipes, a lot of her recipes. My grandmother, on the other hand, she started using this a little bit later in her life. She would add the Vegeta to it. It's a MSG-free Vegeta. It's got dried vegetables in it. It's got a little bit of salt in it also. I'm just going to keep stirring that. And then I've got the ground pepper. Now my grandmother would take peppercorns and then she'd grind them down, freshly ground pepper. That's how she would do that. And then I've got sea salt. I use sea salt in pretty much most of my recipes. And I'm just going to mix that together. And then I've got the Cornish game hen washed and ready to be stuffed. And then whatever leftover stuffing I have, I'm going to put it in a separate, I'm going to put it into a separate loaf pan, and I'm going to bake it alongside the Cornish game hen. Just going to mix that well. Ensure that all the ingredients are put together well. Okay, so I'm going to, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring over the Cornish game hens. I'm only using 2 today. You could probably with this stuffing recipe, you'd probably stuff about 4 Cornish game hens with this, and these are just 1 kilogram hens. So I'm just going to get my stuffing, and I'm going to add it to the inside of the hens, and I'm going to fill it up quite well. And yeah, you could probably use about 4 or 5, because there's a lot of stuffing here. I'm just making extra because I always like to have extra. My husband and I like to have extra stuffing to go with other meats too, and it can be frozen. So I'm just going to take this second one, and I'm going to fill this one up. And then I'm just going to put some seasoning on there, on the Cornish hens, and add some water to it. And then, like I said, I've preheated the oven to so that's kind of like how that looks. And then I take the leftover and I'd fill up a sort of a loaf pan like this, and I'd fill it up, and then I'd put that into the oven. So that's what I'm going to do, and what I'll do is I'll come back and show you what this great recipe looks like. So don't forget to put the 1.5 cups of water on the bottom of the inside of the roasting pan while your Cornish game hen is roasting in the oven. So I'll be back to show you what this great recipe looks like. Welcome back again to Irinka's Kitchen. I had in the oven 2 stuffed Cornish game hen in the oven, Sült Töltött Korni Vad Tyúk, and what I've done is I've preheated the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and I roasted the Cornish game hens for 40 minutes, and then I lowered the temperature to 325 degrees Fahrenheit and baked the Cornish hens for an additional 30 minutes. And then, of course, it's really important to use a meat thermometer to check to see if the stuffed Cornish game hens and stuffing is baked well. So, and it's about 185 degrees Fahrenheit. So, what I'd like to do is show you what this great recipe looks like coming out fresh out of the oven. And as you can see, it's been roasted. And of course, I put some ground pepper on there and salt, just for seasoning, and then I added the 1.5 cups of water to it, and of course I've added the stuffing in there. And of course what I'm going to show you is what the stuffing looks like. So I ended up with 2 loaf pans of stuffing, as you can see, and of course I've already cut a piece for the plate with, that I'm going to be serving it on with the Cornish hen. Now, 1 Cornish hen could be probably enough for 1 person. If that's too much for 1 person, you can also cut it in half and serve it to 1 person. So a half a Cornish hen to 1 person, depending on how much they would want to eat. So I'm just going to put this aside, and I've got a plate ready with some rice. So I've actually cooked up some rice with the Cornish hen, so I'm going to serve it with rice, but you can serve it with mashed potatoes. You can actually just serve it with a salad of your choice, a garden salad. It doesn't even need to be served with rice or potatoes. So what I've chosen is rice for tonight, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put one of the Cornish hens on the plate here, and then I'm just going to serve that one for my husband. I would cut this in half and eat half for myself. So depending on how much you want. There's not a whole lot of meat on it, on Cornish game hen. So just like the duck, the roasted duck that I did. So this is what it looks like, and there's the stuffing. There's the stuffing there. And I've baked up a lot of stuffing because I'm going to be freezing some of this also. So this is what it looks like on the plate. So if you have any questions or comments regarding this recipe, please feel free to contact me at irinkaskitchen.com or irene@irinkaskitchen.com. Until next time, bon appetit, jo eet vadet.